Alright, we're second to the last video, folks. Welcome back to the Dragon's Tongue. This is going to be the second to the last series involving me talking about Beastars and how much I hated the ending to it. My delicious I'm not going to explain what that is, because if you knew, well, I'd have to kill you. Like, duh. I feel like that's pretty obvious. The secret to eternal life and conversion to dragonism. Anyways, so this last part is going to be about the end of Melon and what should have happened to him. So I feel like there's two ways that a good villain should go, right? They should either be killed or redeemed. The one thing you don't want from a villain, a good villain, is them they just go fly off into the sunset. They go away. They were defeated in battle and they just trotted off. I can't even think of too many good scenarios except for one that I'll bring up later. But I think we can all agree, right? I think we can all agree that, like, the majority of, like, good villains should be have, like, a dignified send-off, right? And, like, that's kind of weird considering, it's, like, either die or be redeemed, but you know what I mean, where it's, like, you can't just take a villain that the story has built up and built their character and built their rival with the hero and then have it all just be, oh no, that didn't do it, they just, and this often happens with writers who can't let go. They don't have the heart to kill that character. And honestly, I think it's very irresponsible if you wrote a story and there's a fantastic villain character in it and you don't kill them or have them redeemed. Because I think those are the two main ways that a villain can end. Or, technically you can have them kind of join the heroes, but that's them kind of being redeemed, right? There's a movie where it's like 12, what is it? 12 Strong. Great war flick. But in that, the American soldiers kind of have to deal with this Middle Eastern dude who he's their only connection to this big war thing. And at the end of the movie, he has conflicts. He is also kind of, could be charged with war crimes. But at the same time, he forgives his enemy in order to fight the enemy that the Americans are fighting. And the Americans are like, peace, we're good with that. And the guy's like, okay, good, get out of my country, go back to your country. I've done, like, that wasn't really a part where, and he wasn't even a villain. He was kind of he was a character that the Americans had to struggle with a little bit because the cultures are very different, the politics are very different, and this guy just would not give in to the Americans' demands when he had his own demands. Like, all this thing. 12 Strong is a great flick. And that's kind of a solution like that. But again, not really a villain. Like, this is such a rare thing. If you're a good writer, this is such a rare thing that I feel like there's only two, like, good examples that I can think of, which is Beastars and Hell of a Boss, the internet show about the demons and stuff. And because that I'm not saying anything. I will talk about Hell of a Boss on this channel eventually, but, like, I'm just putting it out there. Stolas should have been a villain, and I feel like he was at the beginning of it, and the writer got attached and couldn't let him go. So that's kind of what I feel like only happens with, I'm going to say it, amateur writers, You have to be able to let your characters go. And to me, this happened with the Joker as well. So I said two good examples, but the Joker as well. And funny enough, I did continue to to talk about how Melon is very much like the Joker in The Dark Knight. And his ending is very much the same, too. Like, supposedly the Joker's dead, but we don't ever get to hear that. He goes to a padded room, and that's literally where Melon goes. So, let's see. The end is nigh. No, the end is not nigh. But the end of Melon is summed up in 2 pages here. So Yahya kind of takes, after Melon, like, she finished their fight, Yahya kind of takes Melon under his wing because Melon has shot himself, and he's alive, but, like, barely, and Yahya's taken aback, and he bites him, and when Yahya is talking to his whale friend, he basically summarizes what happened to Melon. And the conversation basically goes, the whale is explaining the sausage to Yahya, and then, they're talking about the end of the fight, and the whale asks Yahya, did you have a difficult time? And Yahya responds, well, in the end, I got bitten in the neck. Whether Melon is mentally ill or evil, he's a real pain. And this, not only is this very unsatisfying, but the way that the writer set it up, he's definitely going to escape. Like, there's no way. Again, scheming guy. He's been known to be a schemer. He's known to be very intelligent, a manipulator, and it actually takes a minute to show that Melon is getting a bunch of fan mail. So the first shot is this one where Melon's sitting there behind the bars, and you can see this giant suspicious lump of stuff. And that suspicious lump it's fan mail. Look at that. They have people saying that how much they loved Melon and how much they appreciate him. So you're telling me that the end to our great big villain here is just, he's in a mental asylum. But number 1, he's super smart. Number 2, he's still got all his limbs. It wasn't like he was severely injured, right? And he's getting fan mail, which is like cliche levels of this guy's definitely gonna break out. Like, how can you have a villain that's so like that and then be like, oh no, they're never gonna get out? They're definitely gonna get out. So this is just kind of bad in how it dealt with its main villain. Like, so the main villains of the Shishigumi, that was the old leader of the Shishigumi, Legoshi ended up killing him to save Haru. Riz didn't really end up. Riz went to a prison, right? Which, Riz did eat Tem, and I feel like that's a good full circle for Riz, because a lot of his character is about the fact that he kind of didn't want to kill Tem. His medication is kind of a big part of it, where it's like it kind of made him very like, the relationship between carnivores and herbivores is already tense without there being drugs involved. And the fact that, like, Riz is like, oh, well, Tem accepts me for who I really am, and going off the meds probably made him crazy in an instant of, just, he snapped, basically, is kind of what happened. Because he literally hallucinated Tem being like, I accept you for all of you, and that's not what he was saying. We know this because of the beginning of the first volume, but so Riz was kind of snapped. Riz was definitely mentally ill, where he's been under this. What are you doing over there, doggy? Silly doggy. But he's been on medication because if bears grow to a specific size, they get put on medications that lower their height for safety reasons, which is like, okay, but it specifically says that the medication that they take gives them severe headaches, like all these things. And so I feel like Riz going to a prison and getting mental help, and Pina even being there and kind of reconnecting with him, I feel like that's a good ending for Riz, because we knew Riz as a character, we got to know him, and he did kill Tem, but he did it in a way that he thought like he was loving him, and that Tem accepted him for who he was. This whole thing. Melon, though, like, we constantly shove into the audience's head that this guy is evil. All the beasts that meet him are like, he's evil. Did you see what he just did? He's a psychopath. They even call him, every time they mention him in the synopsis of the back of the book, they call him mixed species psychopath Melon. Like, that's in all of these. Like, this is the final volume. In volume 17, mixed species psychopath Melon. In volume 20, this one doesn't have Melon in it, I don't think. Mixed species psychopath Melon. This one's volume 20, this was 19. Volume 21, mixed species psychopath. Like, we are hammering it into the viewer's head here that Melon is a evil, psychopathic killer guy. And all we get to the conclusion of Melon's arc as a villain is that he goes to a mental asylum. Like, it's such a bad way to wrap up his character. And I really like Melon. Melon is a great character, I think, until he went through his transformation thing. That kind of ruined the character for me. See my other video for that one. I really, this definitely stinks. Like, this doesn't stink as much as the last episode where like the Melon Haru Legoshi kind of story plot fell off, and honestly that was like one of my favorite parts that I thought was where the series was going, and that just didn't happen. But this one really hurts too, because again, with like main villains, especially ones that you are like, this is the big bad, he's crazy, he's evil, all these things, he's a psychopath, all these things, and we don't get really a conclusion. And one could argue, like, well, the fact that they spared Melon is a part of how it's explaining to how Beastars as a place, right? As a series, like, where it is in the, God, what is the word? Jesus Christ. I mean, Jesus Christ, of course. World building, right? In the world that Beastars takes place in, it could be like, you could argue that them letting Melon live is like a part of like, oh, that's how they've evolved, right? They don't kill other beasts anymore, which I would be completely fine with that, right? I'm okay with that. But here's the thing, you need a redemption arc then. Because you can't just let him be like, well, we didn't kill him, but we did lock him up. Which, like, that's helpful. Like, why are you going to lock up a criminal and then not do anything with them? It's like they get free housing, they get free meals, and they don't contribute to anything to society. And you can't let this guy out again because he's a psychopath. And there shows no growth in his character. Again, I was kind of hoping that maybe Melon's father could play a part with him learning to love and learning to be, like, we don't, like, Yahya straight lies to his face and says that, you know, yeah, your father's still dead and he's up there in heaven with your mom. Like, he doesn't mention that, which, again, I understand the whole, oh, he probably shouldn't meet his dad because his dad was a scumbag, but that could have been a part where them reconnecting could be an arc for both of them. You could have Melon's dad be a scumbag, but maybe when they meet and see each other, Melon could be like, I've never seen my dad. I've never seen him before. This is my dad. And the you know, his dad could be like, wow, this is my son. I saw you when you were born, but I left, and all these horrible crimes that you committed were horrible, and I feel like partly responsible for that. And we could have this hint, right? Because this is the last volume, so we can't have a full redemption arc, but you can have kind of this thing where it hints at maybe Melon's father will help him not be so crazy, right? They'll help him, because a lot of Melon's issues are mommy issues, right? He's got severe mommy issues where it's a lot of his trauma goes back to his mother, how she sheltered the shit out of him. She didn't acknowledge him as a species. She named him Melon to continuously remind him that he's a mixed species beast. She even touched him inappropriately in some parts, like where she caressed his horns as she was recalling his dad. Like, it's very clear that she was very abusive. And so, like, so much of Melon is his mommy issues, but like him never meeting his dad and his dad still being alive is something that we could explore and be like, Melon has another parent in his life now, and his dad could explain to him what happened and be like, okay, well, mom was just crazy then, and maybe we could be a family instead. And that could hint to the fact that maybe Melon will calm down and chill out and just be a normal beast. Or maybe we could have a skip, right? A time skip to show that, like, Melon is enrolling in school or something, or he's doing a job and he's talking about how he's living with his father and reconnecting with him. Like, you could have had so many things here, but instead you have 2 panels concluding Melon as a character, just being like, oh, we locked him up, he's gone, bye. So to me, the whole, oh, we saved him, we didn't kill him, because again, Legoshi does this whole thing where he's like, I don't want you to die, Melon, and it's like, that's great, but are you there for him? Like, maybe instead of Melon's dad, maybe Legoshi could visit him. We could have a scene where Legoshi visits Melon and says, like, hey, I want to be your friend. Let's talk. Let's actually... And again, time skip. Legoshi and Melon are spending time working. Maybe Legoshi's training Melon at the udon noodle shop. Like, so many things that could have been, like, hinting towards maybe a redemption or something. Or, of course, he could have just killed him. Like, he could have just... Legoshi's killed people before. And it's just like, especially with this, if it's over Haru or something as big as the black market, you would think that there'd be higher stakes and that Legoshi would just be, tearing it up, but he's not. He's out there doing this whole kumbaya, herbivores and we've changed the black market forever, and herbivores and carnivores will get along, and maybe they'll have hard times, but they'll all come together in the end. And Melon's just like, that's bullshit, which, again, he's right. So this whole thing, and it kind of hints that he's gonna die by his own hand when he's just like, well, I'm just gonna kill myself because I'm just gonna kick my own bucket then. Sorry, YouTube. But right where Melon's just like, well, I'm gonna head out, and he shoots himself twice, because he's like, one to kill the herbivore in me and one to kill the carnivore in me, and Legoshi's like, don't do it, and this whole thing, but we never get a part where Legoshi is actively trying to kill Melon, and I would have wanted that instead. Like, again, with good villains, like side villains, you can do that, where maybe the side villain realizes, oh, this is what I'm doing is wrong, and I'm either going to help the hero defeat the main villain, or I'm going to head out on my own path, right? You can do that with side villains, like side villains that are maybe minions, or, earlier villains. Like, again, Riz is a good example of that, where Riz kind of got the same treatment that Melon did, but like I did that whole part explaining why, I feel like Riz is a character that you could definitely kind of justify being like, oh, yeah, he needs to go to prison. He's still a young kid, basically, that committed this horrible act, and like medication was a lot to do with it. The pressure of society had a lot to do with it. And like Tem had a lot to do with it, in the way that, like, I'm not victim blaming Tem or anything, but he continued to be like, oh, I accept you, and he was getting close to Riz, trying to be Riz's friend, and it just went horribly wrong, and it's a bad situation for both the carnivore and the herbivore, because, at the end of Legoshi and Riz's battle, Riz realizes what an actual relationship between an herbivore and a carnivore should be, an actual friendship, which is, Legoshi and Louie. And that's a good thing. And Riz gets kind of Pina as his friend in the end. So I feel like Riz, that's a good story arc for Riz. And like Riz is the main kind of antagonist of the second arc of Beastars. But again, we have tons of volumes explaining as to why Riz did what he did, and like how it culminated in this horrible series of events that led to Tem's death. Melon is just crazy all day. Like, he just does things, and so much of it, he knows he's traumatized. He hates his mother and loves her at the same time. He has this distorted view of carnivores and herbivores where it's like that's the only relation that they have to each other is kill or be killed. Like, this whole thing, and we don't even get any resolution to what Melon's going to become or do, that's going to help, or we don't kill him. Just further writers out there, if you have a villain that is specifically a character, especially if it's a character that is known to be consistently a crazy person who does crazy things just for the hell of it, right? If they're a person that does crazy shit for the hell of it, they don't have any other motivation other than, I'll let chaos reign, all this stuff, do not let them off like this, okay? Give them a redemption arc or kill them. Don't do this. Like, there's a ton of characters that I get attached to in my stories that I've written. I wrote a book, by the way. I just have to plug that real quick. But there's a ton of characters that I've written about or imagined. I have a very active imagination, so I'm always thinking about this stuff. But I've had a couple characters where I'm like, oh, I can't kill these characters. I can't, I love them so much as villains. They're such good villains. And yet I still end up either killing them or giving them a redemption arc. Because those are the two best ways to handle big villains. Again, side villains, kind of different. You can play around with them a little bit more. But major villains, either kill them and get it over with, or show that they can be changed, or that they're learning to be a different person after all this time of just being, in this head space of horrible amalgamations of trauma and shit, right? Like, just don't do this. Don't do this. And to me, this is the same thing that happened to the Joker too. Like, why do characters like this get this treatment where it's like Melon and the Joker have so many similarities in that way, and the Joker gets the same treatment? So, because at the end of The Dark Knight, Batman saves the Joker, which makes sense because Batman doesn't kill. That's his one rule. He doesn't kill. And the whole time Joker's trying to push his button on it. It's like, you're going to have to break your one rule. And the thing is, too, is that Batman does end up doing this. He ends up killing Harvey Dent. It's incidental. The fall technically kills him. But Batman pushed him and himself off that building. So you couldn't just let Joker fall to his death. But anyway, we never get to know what happened to Heath Ledger's Joker. And just like Melon, the Joker is shown to be a massive manipulator and a schemer and a plotter. So you're telling me that the Joker would never get out? You're telling me that the Joker would never find a way, scheme his way out of a mental institution? That's just... No, not with all that we've seen with the character. Throughout the whole movie, he's shown to have plan after plan, and he's very smart. He's good at manipulating people, like we saw in the scene where he's in the cell with the guy. That whole part didn't even have to happen with the phone, where he's like, I just want my phone call. That part didn't even have to happen if the guard watching the door didn't get roped into the Joker being all just like, oh yeah, it's all the little emotions, and how many of your police brothers have I killed? And this whole thing, manipulating the hell out of this guy, and he ends up becoming a hostage because of this. Master manipulator. And you're telling me that a simple mental institution is going to keep him locked up? Yeah, fucking right. And we never get a resolution to that. And there's even another movie, I think it's The Dark Knight Rises, and that's the one with Bane in it. And there's a part where they could have done this so easily too, and this is something I've thought about for a long fucking time, because I hated the resolution to the Joker in The Dark Knight, where it's like we just never get to hear about him again. Batman says a vague, you're gonna be in a padded cell forever. And it's like, okay, that's great, but again, he's going to get out of that. There's no way, no, he's like Boris from the third Men in Black, where he's like, no prison can hold me. Like, he's like that. Like, I cannot see the Joker sitting in his cell rotting away, not ever planning to get out, or even, like, that's just not who he is. You can't make a whole movie about a character that is known to get himself out of situations just by his 10,000 IQ, and then be like, oh yeah, you're gonna be in a padded cell forever. Good luck in there, nerd. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So in The Dark Knight Rises, all they had to do was show that the Joker had died in prison, right? Because all you had to do was, because Bane literally releases the prisoners. That's literally a plot point where Bane releases all the prisoners, and the civilians and the police are fighting, and that's how kind of Bane takes over the all of Gotham and all this stuff. And all you had to do was, like, make a scene maybe where Heath Ledger's Joker died, or let it be known. Because if he let out all the prisons, like, Arkham Asylum is in Gotham, and that's where we know that the Joker most likely went to, right? So it's in Gotham. So the fact that Bane just let out, yes, prisons and mental institutions are different, but Bane's looking for all the loonies, right? I would be asking, is the Joker gonna get out? Because the last time he got out, he caused mass havoc on the fucking city, so is he gonna get out? And all it had to do was release kind of a press or a news station being like, but don't worry about the Joker, he's not getting out, because he was killed in the institution years ago. He was shanked by another prisoner. Which, yes, that's a lame kind of thing, but, like, that way you don't have to use the actor, because obviously Heath Ledger, died before The Dark Knight even was released. Rest in peace, of course. Great actor. Great fucking actor, Heath Ledger. But you didn't need his actor for this. You could have just had them make a statement, or maybe show a cell with his back turned, right? He's laying in a pool of blood and his back is to the camera, so you can't actually see his face. Just make it a vague kind of thing where we know he's dead. Because my whole thing in The Dark Knight Rises is like, where's the Joker in all this? Because you're seriously about to tell me that the Joker who monopolized the Gotham mob, all those guys were put in prison. So you're telling me that they wouldn't, after they got out of prison, they wouldn't try and break the Joker out because they know he's very smart? Like, they could be like, hey, Bane, we know this cool guy that is really smart and really, like, he's intelligent. He brought Gotham to its knees before. He could help us. And, like, Bane would probably be okay with it. I don't know. Maybe Bane and the Joker could get along. I don't give a shit. Brains and brawn, right? But no, we don't get that. We have no, there's no reference to the Joker in Batman, the Dark Knight Rises. And that is honestly sad, because in the last movie we left off, because when the Dark Knight Rises trailers were dropped, I was like, where's the Joker? Because I literally thought he was going to return, because he didn't die. They put him in a padded cell, which my first thought is he's gonna get out. So in relation to Melon, the same thing happens here, where it's like, you're telling me that this person that has constantly schemed his way out of situations, has constantly plotted, or just aggressive, just straight aggression, because Melon can be very aggressive too, he's not gonna escape, especially considering the damn book makes an acknowledgement of how many fan letters Melon received. Like, it's the same thing with the Joker, where I'm sure there was a ton of people who loved the Joker in Gotham. A ton of criminals, a ton of people who maybe just citizens who just didn't like the way the government was being handled and liked the anarchy. Like, all of these things, right? Fangirls, like, all these things. And you're telling me that no one ever thought to break the Joker out? The Joker didn't get out himself because he's very smart? Like, what? It's the same thing. And I was just so disappointed by this. It's not fair. We could have had such a better ending for Melon, and instead we get two panels. And we don't even know how Yahya fought Melon off. Because remember, when Yahya is dragging Melon back to the wherever he's taking him, to the hospital, I think, Melon bites his shoulder, right? He tears into Yahya, and there's this moment where, he's really tearing into him, right? He's got his jaws fully locked on, and he's ripping Yahya up, and Yahya starts staggering, and and so there's this whole interaction between Yahya and Melon here, where Melon says, "Were you starting to feel sorry for me? Poor Melon doesn't have any friends or lovers. What a sad case. He only turned out like this because he grew up in a dysfunctional family. Boo-hoo." Which is funny because it's the same thing I'm talking about, right? And then Melon says, "I don't deserve compassion after the life of evil I've chosen." And, he's right in a way that, you can't just let it go, but that's what happens in the dang book. No one's saying that they have any compassion for Melon. No one's saying that he's going to just be let go. But him being in a padded cell does not help, and there's this whole part where Legoshi looks back and, it's kind of hinting to the fact that Legoshi knows something's up with Yahya, and Yahya kind of stumbles to the ground. Melon says that herbivore meat still doesn't taste good. So we don't even know what happened there. There's a whole interaction there that it's hinted that Legoshi went back to help Yahya grab Melon, because Melon's, digging into him. So there's this, it's hinted that Legoshi went back, but we never see that. We never see the last interaction between Melon and Legoshi, which would have been great because, again, Melon's main antagonist, Legoshi's main protagonist. So there's no conclusion here, and I'm just gonna say it. It kind of felt like it was almost rushed, where it's like, no, we're just gonna get on with it. Melon's elsewhere. He's doing his own thing. He's in his cell. It's good. It's like, no. I feel like it's kind of gaslighting me to think that that a cell is going to hold him. No. And if he gets out, he's definitely coming after Legoshi and Haru, because they set up a whole thing about Melon wanting to find out if Haru's delicious, which, again, that Melon's literal last words in this whole series, his last words in this whole series are, "I knew it. Herbivore meat still doesn't taste good." And then Yahya thuds to the ground, and the last two scenes of Melon in prison receiving the fan mail, there's no dialogue from him at that time. So his last words are, "Herbivore meat still doesn't taste good," which, again, is like a blow. It's like a punch to the face, because of the last time I was talking about how Haru was the first beast he ever wanted to devour. He wanted to eat her because he thought she was going to taste good. So where did that plotline go? That plotline just disappeared, just off the face of the earth like it was flat. Because that is just insane. It's like it's teasing us again about, oh, remember, Melon doesn't like devouring meat. He thinks meat tastes disgusting. And it's like, yeah, but you teased a whole part where he was gonna go after and eat Haru because of that storyline, because of that character. That's part of Melon's character, is that he doesn't like to devour, he doesn't have the urge to devour herbivores because they don't taste good, and yet the first time he wants to devour an herbivore, not only is it's Legoshi's love interest, that's a big deal, and no, no, we don't get that. Melon's in a mental institution, and Legoshi and Haru live happily ever after. Again, Haru never brings this up to Legoshi. Never talks about how she wanted to give herself away to Melon on his birthday. I don't know, guys. It's just not a good way. Again, if you're writing something, please don't do this. Please don't do this where and redemption arcs can be really fun things to play around with, and I understand that a lot of people are tired of them because every character gets redeemed. I'm not talking like a Marvel redemption where it's like, oh, because, they just needed someone to tell them that they loved them, or they just needed someone to be like, oh yeah, you don't need to do this, you're a good person at heart. This fucking pansy ass fucking rainbows bullshit. No. I'm talking about a real redemption arc where, it's actually kind of, it makes sense to their character, right? Where it's, Melon's father would have worked because Melon didn't know his father was even alive, right? Legoshi even coming to visit Melon and kind of trying to course him would have worked because Legoshi and Melon have a long history together, and Legoshi made this whole deal about Melon not wanting to kick his own bucket. We can have this whole emotional scene between Melon and Legoshi where Melon's like, I don't deserve compassion. What are you doing? You're stupid. I hate you. And Legoshi could just be like, I don't care. I'm going to continue to visit you. And maybe he gives Melon some udon noodles from the shop he works at. And it's just like, I hope you enjoy them, and all these little acts of compassion towards Melon once he's already captured, he's already put down, right? Could establish something. And again, not instantly. There could be a time skip, like 4 months later, Melon is working as a criminal, under strict, supervision, but he could be working at the udon noodle shop with Legoshi, and we could see them still kind of bantering back and forth, beefing, but Melon is trying to be a productive member of Beastar society. Like, all these things that could have been done to Melon, or he could have just died. Like, Legoshi could have just killed him, or maybe he shot himself, and that really did the trick, Like, why do we have to have this whole thing of Melon being alive, Yahya trying to rescue him, Melon biting Yahya and still being like, no, I don't deserve compassion, and then we just see Melon in a cell receiving fan mail. Like, that's just not good. Like, there's even this whole part, too, where when Melon does try and kick his own bucket here with the gun, he shoots himself once, and then he's like, I'm still alive. He's like, it'll take 2 bullets because I'm half herbivore, half carnivore. And, like, if she does this whole, I don't want you to die, Melon thing, and, we get to see what actually happened. These 2 pages kind of sum up what happened. And this could have been a perfect ending. And instead, they still made Yahya rescue Melon. So imagine if this was the actual ending, which again, this is all in pages here. This is all in the actual show. They just decided to, at a last second, have Yahya save him. So Melon blasts himself a second time, and he says, if that's what you want, next time shoot yourself where there aren't any witnesses. This is Yahya talking to Melon. And Melon falls, and he says, at last, the source of all this mayhem, the root of all this evil, again, implying that Melon is evil, which, again, horrible childhood. He was incredibly bullied. His mother was a freaking crazy crack addict. She wasn't an actual crack addict, but she was crazy, right? Even when he killed her, he laments how her evil grin didn't get wiped off her face. Like, she was evil. Again, maybe even, like, abusive to her son, like, Geppetto-wise, because again, he literally says, in one of the volumes back there, he literally says, when she touches my gazelle horns, it's not the way a mother should touch her son, which is implying, like, if this was a normal, if this was a human child and a human mother, you would know what that means. So I kind of feel like it's implying that there's a little bit of, anyways. But even still, that's okay. If you want to do with the whole, because I understand people being like, not all characters, evil villains have to have sad backstories. I understand that. To me, villains having bad backstories doesn't have to excuse them of being evil. Like, they can still be evil. Like, if we know anything from serial killers, it's that a lot of them did have traumatic childhoods. It doesn't make what they did any less evil. It doesn't make them as a person any less evil. It just means that there was a path to that evil, and I think that's something worth acknowledging. Doesn't mean it has to be a Marvel fucking redemption where it's just like, you just needed more love, baby. It's like, shut the fuck up. But anyways, so it says, the root of all this evil has fallen. Melon is laying there on the ground, pool of his own blood right here. And then it says, 4 beasts saw it with their own eyes. That's Legoshi, Louie, Gosha, and Yahya. 4 beasts saw it with their own eyes, and yet, none of them wagged their tail. And that would have been that would have been it. You could have just said that, and they could have just been like, and that's how Melon died. But no, it immediately goes to Yahya being like, I gotta be the adult in this situation, and he puts Melon on his shoulders and drags him away, and is just like, I'm gonna take him to the hospital. We could have had that. Like, that's a beautiful ending of them acknowledging it, and it's kind of what I'm talking about too with the whole evil villain having a like traumatic backstory. Just because everything that they did was evil doesn't mean you have to be like, oh yeah, they're finally dead. Like, you don't have to celebrate it, you know. So the fact of them all being like, Melon is dead, he has fallen, this source of all this mayhem and evil is fallen, and he's dead, and yet none of the main protagonists wagged their tails, meaning none of them were happy about this. Like, that's a beautiful ending to me. That could have been a perfect ending. Melon's dead, but none of them are happy about this. You know, it's like what could we have done to prevented this kind of narrative, almost in a way. But no, we gotta have this part where Yahya saves Melon, and it's just, again, it's just really, it just bugs me. It just bugs me. Do not do this, okay? Do not do this. But I do got some homework for you, okay? I've decided that I want to start doing this in my videos because I think it's important. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching my videos. Check out my other Beastars videos if you liked this one. I have a lot of shit to say about the last ending here. And after you get done with this video, unless you're at work, shut YouTube off and go outside or read a book. And I'm not saying that out of malicious intent. I'm seriously saying that out of your own mental well-being, because I think more people should do that. I think more people should encourage that. It doesn't have to be a thing where you like go outside and just fuck off. Like, you know, go outside and, you know, see the trees for what they are. They're beautiful. You know, smell the grass, feel your lungs expanding when you breathe, you know. Yeah, or read a book, you know. Turn your phone off or your computer, whatever you're watching this on, and find something interesting to read and read a nice book, you know. I'm not against ebook 100%. My book is even on ebook. But I would prefer it if you didn't read ebook, because it's another screen. I kind of want this message to kind of be get off your screen for a little bit, you know. Even if it's for an hour a day, sit with yourself in silence and, you know, think about all the good things in life. You know, I'm just trying to promote some positivity here because there's a lot of negativity out in the world. For the past 10 years, I'd say, it's just all been such negative crap. And I feel like a lot of the problems that we're seeing today are because people are so addicted to their screens that they don't see past politics, negative drama on YouTube, all these things, and just read a book or go outside, and that's kind of my homework for you. After you get done with this video, which is just gonna be ending right here soon, but once you get done with this video, just go outside, you know, go outside real quick for an hour, and then you can come back in and scroll all you want, but just take your time out of your day, you know, just for you. Because I'd like to promote a little bit of positivity out here, you know, and getting off your screens just a little bit. I'm not saying, oh, get off your screens, you bunch of freaking heathens. No, I'm not saying that, because I enjoy YouTube the shit. It's my comfort zone. It's my escape too. I understand that 100%, but I've started doing that where I get off YouTube. Mostly it's an hour before bed. Because that kind of helps your mind calm down and wind down, which helps you sleep better, which makes your mood better. That's not advice I got from any health guru or any bullshit like that. That's just kind of common sense. It helps your mind wind down, because when you got screens and you got videos coming up and all a bunch of stuff when you're scrolling, it engages your mind. That's why we like it, because it engages our mind. It makes things go fast, and our brains like to go fast. So sit down with yourself and maybe meditate if that's what you want to do, yoga, or work out at home if that's what you want to do. But of course, if you're at work, you can't just shut this off and log off in the real life. Just be like, you know, leave your coworkers hanging because you're like, I have to go outside now. Goodbye. You don't have to do that. If you're working, that's different. But if you're watching this, please just take a moment to yourself. You know, that's all I'm saying. And read a book, or again, meditate, or do something fun that doesn't involve a screen or anything. Maybe even listening to music, that's kind of fine, you know. But don't be screening all through that hour. Just an hour a day, you know, it helps. So thank you so much for watching. I've been Draven. This has been the Dragon's Tongue. I'll see you on the next one. I think the next video is going to be my conclusion. So, thank you. Peace.